Job finished, everything tested, customers happy. You send the invoice, and then nothing. No reply, no payment, just silence. Now, if only there was a way of switching the power off remotely until that invoice was paid. Obviously, that's not what this is for, and please don't use a consumer unit to chase an unpaid invoice. That's what proper payment terms are for. But the ability to control a circuit remotely, that bit is real. This is the Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch from Live Electrical, and it raises a much bigger question. Should your consumer unit be connected to the internet? Let's start with the legitimate application. This circuit is connected to the Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch. I'm going to switch it off from the app, and there it goes. Now I'll switch it back on. That is remote circuit control, not remote debt collection, remote circuit control. And this is a countdown timer, 10 seconds, done. Now that might look like an overcomplicated way to switch off a lamp, but use it with outdoor lighting, a workshop, a garden office, or an immersion heater, and it starts to make a lot more sense. The consumer unit has always been reactive. The consumer unit has performed the same basic job for decades. Something goes wrong, a fault, an overload, or too much current, and the protective device operates. The circuit is isolated, and the installation is protected. That is the important bit, but a traditional consumer unit does not warn you that a circuit has tripped. It does not tell you when it happened, and it certainly does not send a notification while you're away from the property. You walk to the board, look at the breaker, and reset it. If you're lucky, the circuit stays on. If you're not, you're now trying to work out whether the problem was the kettle, the freezer, the immersion heater, or something more serious. Almost everything else has become more intelligent. The car tells you when something needs attention. The boiler can notify you about a fault. Your security system can tell you when something happens at home. The consumer unit, still mostly silent. And that silence can be expensive. So what exactly is this? This is the Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch from Live Electrical. It is installed within the board and brings connected control and monitoring into the consumer unit itself. The product standard is IEC 60947-2. The features include remote switching, energy monitoring, scheduling, countdown timers, circuit notifications. So if a circuit trips while you are away, you can be notified. If you want a circuit to operate at a particular time, you can schedule it. And if you need to isolate or restore a suitable circuit remotely, you can do that through the connected system. The connected features sit alongside the normal protective function of the circuit breaker. If the internet connection disappears, it does not stop being a circuit breaker. The protection remains there. The Wi-Fi adds control and visibility. I can control this circuit without standing in front of the board. That could be useful for outdoor lighting, a workshop, a garden office, or a holiday property. Then there's energy monitoring. You can see what individual circuits are doing rather than looking only at the total consumption for the property. That gives you a clearer picture of where energy is being used and when. Scheduling allows a circuit to operate automatically. Outdoor lighting can come on at a set time. A garden office heating circuit can operate during working hours. Countdown timers are useful when something only needs to operate for a defined period. For example, an immersion heater can run for a selected time and then switch off automatically. And then there's the notifications. If a circuit trips, you can find out when it happened rather than discovering it hours or days later. That is the real benefit here, not the app, the time it gives you to respond. Take a holiday home. You are away for the weekend and the fridge freezer trips on Saturday morning. With a traditional consumer unit, you may not know until Sunday evening. With the Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch, you can receive a notification while there is still time to contact somebody nearby and deal with it. Now think about a holiday let. A heating circuit, fridge circuit, or external lighting circuit trips while the property is empty. The notification gives you a chance to respond before the next guests arrive. A garden office or workshop may be left unoccupied overnight. You may want the heating to operate during specific hours. You might want the circuit isolated when nobody is using the space. You might simply want to know if it is tripped. Outdoor lighting is another obvious application. You can schedule it, switch it remotely, or turn it off if it has been left running. And then there's the immersion heater. You can schedule it, run it for a set period, or turn it off remotely. That is more convenient, but it also means it is less likely to be left running simply because somebody forgot to switch it off. So no, you are not installing this so you can cut the power off when a customer ignores an invoice. You're installing it because the electrical installation can now provide more control and more information. And if you are finding topics like this genuinely useful, we dive into them every single week, so be sure to hit subscribe. The energy monitoring may be the feature that deserves the most attention, because energy data is not only about how much electricity a circuit has used, it can also show you when something changes. A fridge has a normal operating pattern. Heating element has a predictable load. If that pattern changes, it is useful information. An appliance may start drawing more energy than it did previously. A motor may be beginning to struggle. A circuit may suddenly be operating at unusual times. This is not a replacement for inspection, testing, or proper fault finding, but it can act as an early warning signal. Instead of waiting until something fails completely, you may be able to see that the behavior of a circuit has changed. That is the move from a consumer unit that simply reacts to one that gives you visibility. The Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch uses the Smart Life app and works with connected smart home devices already in the property. It can also be used as part of a wider system, including home assistance. That means the consumer unit does not have to operate as a completely separate device. It can become part of the wider automation setup, with schedules, notifications, and connected routines working together across the property. The consumer unit has traditionally been the one part of the electrical installation that did not communicate with anything else. Now it can become part of that connected system. It is worth noting though that the Smart Life app is not Live Electrical's, it's a third-party app. So if you get any issues, take it up with Smart Life. With any connected electrical product, the first question should be safety. The Wi-Fi connection is not what provides the protective function of the circuit. If the internet connection drops, the circuit breaker does not stop protecting the installation. The connected features add control, monitoring, and information. They do not replace the fundamental protective function of the device. And remote switching should not be confused with overriding a genuine protective operation. If the device has operated because of a fault, the correct response is still to investigate that fault properly. The app is not a shortcut around safe electrical practice. There is also an important installation point. The Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch is installed within the board, but it is not something you install inside another manufacturer's board. A consumer unit is a type tested assembly. The enclosure, bus bar system, protective devices, and associated components are tested as a combination. So this device can be installed inside a Live Electrical board. If an existing installation already has a different manufacturer's board, the practical solution is to install a suitable Live Electrical board alongside it. You do not mix the Wi-Fi circuit breaker switch into the original board. So should your consumer unit be connected to the internet? Not because every electrical product needs an app, and not because remote switching sounds clever, but because knowing that a circuit has tripped while there is still time to do something about it is genuinely useful. Now, we've dived into a few other innovations from Live Electrical, including their fire suppressant unit, so be sure to hit the video on screen now.